this is the Chelsea Football FanCast. I am Stanford Chidge, this is Pablo, this is Dazza, this is the fantastic Mr. Dan Levine, and they, somewhere in the studio in the space-time continuum, are the benches, who are brilliant. Anyway, we're back. And annoyingly enough, I have to... There we go. There were the benches. Short and sweet. At least we know that they're there. Right, we're going to talk about some football now. And anybody would have thought we wouldn't talk about football on a football show, but goodness me, we do. Now, the first thing I really want to talk about is a little bit left field, really. I mean, you know, it was... I was delighted by... I mean, you know, I know I say every week that I hate stats, but really it's only really to annoy Chad Enoza. He knows that I love them, really. And the thing that I was very... This is interesting. I wrote this before I wrote the script. I wrote in my, you know, pre-match notes that this is not it would be. This is Jose's 100th Premier League win. And I just thought, how brilliant to get that against the Manx. And he's the quickest manager to achieve this in 142 games. He's beaten all of them. And apparently, we were talking about this earlier, weren't we, Chat? He's only lost twice in 17 matches against Man United for any team that he's managed. Isn't that right, Chad?
That's what you've found, yeah. I don't really care about like when he was manager of other clubs, but...
no, it includes like when he was Real Madrid and Milan, all that kind of... it's something like that.
So they'll both be Chelsea matches, won't they?
Yeah, they probably will be. But I mean, the bottom line is that Mourinho as a manager nearly always beats the Manx. I mean, how lovely is that? So I didn't really have much doubt that we would again. And I have to say, I thought he was tactically spot on again. And I like the fact that, you know, in all of the performances that we've had against our main rivals, I mean, if you have a look at the mini-league of the top kind of 4 or 5 teams, we're unbeaten against them. And I think, you know, maybe this has got, you know, this could actually make the difference in us winning the title, Dan, I think. That's how I'm feeling.
I think, well, definitely Mourinho is the difference, isn't he?
He's a man.
People used to talk about Fergie being worth 10, 15 points a season. Now Mourinho's got to be worth that sort of
easily.
Points.
I was reading somewhere today, and I can't remember where from, but somebody was saying that, you know, teams are intimidated. They come to Stamford Bridge, or they play against Chelsea with Mourinho as manager, and they're like beaten before they even turn up because he's the manager.
Yeah, and the reputation just goes before it. They know that it's a place where it's very, very difficult to win.
It just shows you that choosing the right manager for your club is really important. Hey, Manx?
it's the tactics as well, though. It's not just him like being, or just the presence really, but the fact that he changes games and does things that everyone questions that seem to work every single time he does it.
What could you possibly save your powder on that one? I know exactly what you're talking about.
Not playing Mata?
No, we're not talking about Mata. We're talking about the Eto'o incident in the pub before, but we'll get to that in a minute. What do you reckon, Darren? I mean, do you think that Chelsea might have chosen the right manager, whereas Man United have not?
I think we knew it all along, didn't we?
Of course
I think everyone knew in the summertime. I think if Mourinho wanted to go to United, I think he'd be at United. I don't think he wanted to be there. And
do you think he wanted to be there?
No, I said if he wanted to be there, he would be there. He didn't want to go there.
Talking of which, actually, that's a brilliant bit of segue there, Darren, for somebody who's 5 weeks out of practice. But I watched the BBC interview with Dan Walker that they did with Mourinho on Saturday, and he was hilarious in the way that he, you know, basically denied any sense of the idea that he ever wanted to go to Man United. I thought that was hysterical. But I thought it was a really good interview anyway, because again, apart from reiterating that he never wanted to go to United, he reiterated that he's here for the long haul, that, you know, he is going to be at Chelsea for as long as Abramovich wants him, basically, which, you know, has got to be great news.
Yeah.
I mean, I presume we believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Don't see any reason to doubt it at the minute.
Okay, we believe that.
Why would the highest paid manager in the world want to go anywhere else?
Well, he said it's not for the money. He said I don't care what other club comes in, I don't care how much you pay me, I'm here because I love this club and I want to be here.
He undoubtedly loves it. He is really, really milking it at the moment. You see him when he does press conferences at the game, he's smiling, he walks up to people, shakes their hands. The guy's got a grin on his face all the time. He really, really likes being at Chelsea.
That was a nice thing, by the way, that the journalist with the cancer and everything. Yeah.
I mean, you actually, you obviously you see him and get nearer to him than any of us do, Dan, in your day job. You know, I mean, have you managed to get a word in with him?
Yeah, and he just looks like a man who's really happy with life at the moment. He's a guy who's arrived at somewhere he knows he's in the right place.
He's probably about as happy as that bloke who tweeted the FanCast just before we went on air. Yeah.
What did he say, Chidge?
Secret hand something.
Okay.
I don't know if I can say the third word. Go and look at our Twitter feed.
Was it a drink that was half lemonade and half
I
lime?
know, like a shandy.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. Check out our Twitter feed. You'll know what I mean. it made me laugh. That's for sure. What can we say that hasn't already been said about Jose? I mean, we love him. One of the things I loved most about the game yesterday was the absolute sense of Schadenfreude and irony. With those Burks from the north. North Surrey anyway. Going on about the chosen one earlier in the season. And I mean, I love that speech from Ferguson. Your job is to get behind the new man. Yeah. I mean, we were talking about this before. I haven't had enough to drink tonight, Pablo. That's my excuse. But we were talking about this before we went on air. About the fact that it actually now I actually kind of feel a bit sorry for Moyes because. He's basically inherited an absolute shambles thanks to Ferguson. They're about 8 players shy of a decent team. Ferguson saw the writing on the wall and got out. That's what I reckon.
Yeah, but... Sorry, go on.
Well, I was just going to say, that aside, it's very interesting to know what the actual dynamic is these days, because standing in the tunnel post-match, who should come through... heading straight for the United dressing room, but Sir Alex Ferguson.
Da, da, da.
Now, what's he doing in there?
Yeah.
Isn't there a manager there already?
What I want to know, Dan, is who was he giving the hairdryer to, the players or the manager?
He looked like he wanted to give it to anyone.
Was he looking like Thunder?
He really was.
Not just a Thunder, you know what. You know what I mean. It's going to be one of those shows tonight. I can feel it in my bones. Now, the other thing that really intrigued me, when we went back into the pub after the match yesterday, is that it was kind of weird. I had people saying that we played rubbish, and thank goodness Man United were even more rubbish. And then I had people like me. I mean, I thought we battered them. I mean, we were so in control of that match for. I mean, okay, the first 15 minutes they camped in our half. We had basically the entire rest of the match up until the last 15 minutes when we went to sleep because it was so easy. That was my view, and there are other people that were somewhere in between. I mean, you remember the chats that were going on in the pub?
I mean, I don't think there's much to complain about, really. We didn't have to get out of second gear, but it was comfortable other than the first 10 minutes or so, as is often the case for mid-table teams.
Where's all this we weren't playing very well coming from then?
Well, we didn't start massively quickly, did we? I suppose. But
we did all right.
Oh yeah, there was no complaints, but.
Like you said, it's just that one period, and I think Jose went. I know Ramirez actually went out right wing, so it wasn't like Jose went too defensive. But when he brought Mikel on and put Ramirez at right wing, but already got the ball in there after, we kept losing it too soon. Then they would attack, so they're all over us. I think Mourinho realised it wasn't working. It was only that one time where we didn't know what to do with the ball past the halfway line. But other than that, we were clearly the better team.
All right. I mean, again, Dan and I were talking about this before we started, but I thought that we based. Well, there's a little bit of a theory of mine because some people will moan if we take off Oscar, put Mikel on, and he looks like he's going to shut the game out, and it's all negative. And I did feel at the time that we could have gone on and really battered them, 5-6 maybe. But the point I was making to Dan earlier was that with those kind of players like the Hazards, the Williams, the Oscars, those kind of players, I think you actually need to keep on them, because if you try and shut the game out, they go mentally, we won it, it's easy. And they did. They all fell asleep with about 15 minutes to go, and then United scored. And it worries me with those kind of players that when you do that, if the opposition team score, the momentum suddenly changes, and it makes me wonder, can they then go up a gear again, or not?
You see, I think that in his mind, Mourinho at some stage in the match has decided we're not playing Man United here, we're playing Man City. We're playing a long game here.
I think I actually thought, Dan, that they thought that they were playing FC United for most of the match.
But a game like that, Pellegrini would keep all his big guns on. He'd go for 6, he'd go for 7. Mourinho's decided, well, hang on, we've got this game won. We've got other games to play now. Let's think about those other games and just close this one down.
He's the master strategist, isn't he, really?
Yeah. You wouldn't want to play him at chess, would you?
I would not want to play him at Tiddlywinks. He's probably the most competitive man in the universe, and I think that's why we love him. Benches, what do you lot think? What's the peeps listening think?
Yeah, I asked the question, did we play well or were United poor? Harris Chelsea 5 has said United were poor, we did as much as we needed to. It was the easiest United game for us that we can remember. Sussex Blues said we did enough to beat a poor United team, but we could have gone on to score 6 or 7. And then Mayo Silla said United were poor, but if they had Rooney and Van Persie, maybe they would have won it.
That's really interesting. I think, very measured and level-headed responses from the people listening to the show, which is made me think that I actually should retire and they should do the show instead, because they're probably making more sense. But no, it's very good. I mean, frankly, I never ever felt first 15 minutes I was a bit twitchy, but frankly, once we scored, I thought, well, that's it. You know, I called Eto'o getting a hat trick, and I said to Joe Tweeds before I even sat down, I said, we're going to do them 5-0 today. I just had a feeling, you know.
So it never
really
went
confident.
through your mind once a time recently when we were 3-0 up against United?
Yeah, but look at who was manager then compared with whoever's
Who was
manager now.
manager?
I don't know.
It was AVB, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was it AVB? I remember being at a mental match where we won something like 5-4. That was in the
5-3.
5-3.
5-3. It was
Yeah.
the Bad Debt Cup, wasn't it?
That was the FA Cup.
No, the Bad Debt Cup, wasn't it? It was the Bad Debt.
Was it?
Sorry, Capital One.
Oh yeah,
I nicked
I
that
last
joke
year,
off the pudding shed.
5-4,
Sorry,
whatever it
boys.
was.
What?
It was like 5-4 or something like
It
that.
was 5-4.
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah.
Anyway, that's the Subprime Cup, not the Bad Debt Cup.
Is it? Oh, very good. Very good. Okay, we kind of mentioned him a little bit. We should really, I mean, you know, the man that we should have been actually dedicated the entire part to is a certain man called Samueletto. Now is the time to reveal the conversation. Where in that photograph is Samueletto? Thank you. Anyway, so Samueletto, he gets a hat trick. Who'd have thunk it? I mean, in the pub beforehand, I was with Pablo, and the team comes out, and he says, "Oh, Eto'o's starting." I said, "You've got to be joking! Why is Eto'o starting? Instead of Torres, you know, who's basically been, you know, playing fairly decently recently." I can't believe that. Oh, I said sarcastically, I forgot. We don't have to play with strikers because all of our midfielders scored the goal, didn't I, Pablo?
Yeah, something like that.
I did, didn't I? So how wrong did I get that?
Quite.
Yeah. And when you came into the Hand and Flower afterwards, what did you do?
Can't remember.
You pointed at me, grinning from ear to ear. Something tells me that this may get a salary nomination later in the show. Now, apparently it's the first hat-trick a Chelsea player scored against Man United since 1954. I've just stolen one of Chad's stats. He won't be happy. But it's true.
And what happened in that season?
We won the title, I believe. That was our first title-winning season. The other thing...
Do you know something else about that game?
Go on, then.
And
You were
let's
there.
go to that. Yeah, obviously. Yeah. Chelsea lost.
To 5-4, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
6-5, 5-4?
6-5, 5-4, Cheddar?
6-5.
6-5, I think. Yeah.
6-5?
Yeah.
Whoa. See, that's proper football in those days. Forget defending, mate. Is that when they had, like, wing halves? Wing halves? I used to be a wing half. I am that old. I know.
I don't think Chelsea have announced it, by the way. He was in our team that won the championship, obviously, but he passed away in February last year. I don't think they ever announced it at the grounds.
Who was that?
Seamus O'Connell.
Seamus O'Connell. I've missed this Rain Man quality that you bring to the show.
Roy Penny put in his book, he was the only player he wanted to find out what he's been doing since 55, basically.
Waiting for somebody to beat his record?
No, he's been living in Spain. But he wanted to find him and meet him again.
I'm amazed. Darren, I love you and miss you in equal measure. That's brilliant, actually. No, people think I'm taking the mick. I mean it. I miss him and love him in equal measure. Now, the other thing I was going to say, I had a bit of a think, you know, because we haven't, you know, who scored a hat trick for Chelsea recently? I can't think of anybody who scored a hat. You know, I thought, right, I bet you. I mean, okay, like hands around the table. Who do you think was the person who's last scored a hat trick for Chelsea?
Torres.
I thought it was Frank Lampard.
Torres.
Yeah, you think it was Torres?
I actually do think I know who he is now, but I thought it was Frank Lampard.
Yeah,
as
I
well.
thought it was Lampard. Who, you know, I know you probably know too.
I
But
have no clue.
okay, who would you have thought it was?
I'd have thought Torres.
Okay,
The Kings too.
You're not funny at all. That was. I'm really sorry. If you thought that was a joke, that wasn't funny at all. No, I mean the bottom line is, you know, like you, Darren. I thought, it must have been Lamps, but blow me, it was Fernando Torres against QPR in the 6-1. Who'd have thought that Fernando Torres would have been the last person to score a hat trick for Chelsea? And I'm loving the fact that that Torres is the last striker to score a hat trick for us, and Eto'o scored one now. Eto'o, of all people, a man for all seasons. We've got a man for one season, and then he's off, and he scores a hat trick, and he'll always be remembered for that.
Well, I presume that was the reason they brought on Mikel, because he fancied a hat trick yesterday.
Maybe. Yeah, and I mean, look how many goals Torres and Eto'o are scoring at the moment, and how many is Lukaku scoring for Everton? Ponder that one, fanboys.
I think you should have given Dan a bit more credit there. Mikel only scores in January under Mourinho, and we brought him on.
No, I love Mikel. I love him, and I just love the whole thing. I mean, the other thing I'd say about Eto'o was, I mean, they were proper goal scorers' goals, to be fair. You know, a good goal scorer scores a completely flaky goal like the first one, where it goes in off somebody's, toenail or something. And a good goal scorer is there on the 1 yard line, not the 6 yard line. He's there on the 1 yard line to put it in and take all the glory.
I still don't know what their defender was doing.
Watching him
for the third goal, he had his arms around him. Yeah, just let him turn around.
Yeah. Pathetic, wasn't it? But
you know what I love most about Samueletto is the way every goal he scores, it's like he's given birth to another child.
I love it. I love it. He gets so excited, doesn't he? I'm really warming to Samueletto.
But he always did it. I remember when he played with Barcelona, he'd run around with his arms flailing around, just screaming and running.
That's quite good. He's got more Drogba-esque, maybe. What do you think?
He's got great passion. I saw. I was looking at the photo. They've got the right one up this time.
Hang on,
that was more.
He's
more like that. But Eto'o sort of just ran like that, more jazz hands.
So he's like Eto'o jazz hands. I like that.
And it'd be just
Eto'o jazz. Can we all do Eto'o jazz hands? Yeah. And this Drogba's like, what's that?
I don't know what that's called.
It's brilliant. That's genius. All right. Now, the one thing I will say, and the other one that really made me laugh, was the fact that Eto'o, who is probably the slowest player I've ever seen, apart from Michael Ballack, he used to run backwards. Eto'o rinsed Vidic yesterday. I said to somebody, has he been taking illegal substances or something to make him run that fast? Because I've never seen it. He rinsed Vidic. It was like Vidic wasn't going. It was brilliant. Anyway,
everyone's always ran past Vidic.
Yeah, it was Vidic from Elvis Pace.
I was getting really excited. I forgot it was Vidic.
Torres used to do it every week, didn't he?
That's true.
Kick him over every time.
Mourinho's just told him his pay packet's at the other end of the pitch.
Look, very, very quickly, because we're going to run out of time, but we've got to talk about Phil Dowd, and in particular, I mean, he was rubbish for us in the first half, and then he obviously got correct orders. Yeah, he was. First 15, 20 minutes, every time we got fouled, wave it on. Every time they got fouled, it was a free kick. Classic refereeing at Stamford Bridge. But the thing I really want to talk about is Luiz's booking, the Vidic sending off, and the Raphael booking. But I think we're all agreed that Luiz deserved to get a yellow card for shoulder barging Valencia, although I thoroughly applauded it, obviously.
I think he deserved at least one yellow card, didn't he?
Brainless, just totally brainless.
I know, it was a bit silly. He is a bit naughty when he does that, but I secretly kind of like that. The Vidic sending off, I mean, I was going apoplectic, as Dennis will absolutely bear out. Well, it's benches. He kind of gets me going a bit, and I was going mental at Vidic. I can't stand him anyway. But to me, he looked like he went in to do Hazard, no question. I'm happy with the red for that, because I think it was intent.
I am, now that I've seen it again. At the time, I thought it was a bit harsh and thought it was a yellow. It just seemed to me that he was just sort of cynically breaking up a counter-attack and no more than that. But I haven't seen it back, and I can't really
Mourinho said he thought it was an orange card.
He's being naughty, and he knows he is.
Naughty, yeah.
It's a red.
But it was certainly reckless at the very least, wasn't it? Which is red.
I thought it was nasty. It was intent. I mean, on another day, he might have really hurt him. And I think he deserves a punch
someone
in
made
the
the
face.
point of it was a typical FIFA player's tackle when they're 3-0 down and getting annoyed.
Yeah, or as we were saying, just because you're losing, or whatever. The last one is the Raphael, which is just appalling. He went in to do Cahill, and Cahill would have been within his rights to chin the little muppet. God, it's really hard. Sorry, go on.
I think everyone would say the same thing, that if Vidic hadn't been sent off, I think Raphael would have been sent off.
That's the point there.
Wasn't going to send off two within 5 minutes of each other.
That was nasty.
Yeah, big time. That was a lot worse than Vidic's one,
It was, wasn't it?
But it didn't even look like Dowd was going to do anything originally.
He gave a throw-in until Cahill kicked off.
Yeah, he just stood there without he wasn't reading his cards or anything, and then once that happened, then he finally booked Raphael, but he wasn't going to do anything.
I mean, Phil Dowd is one of my least favourite and most useless referees, in my opinion. Very quickly, benches, are you happy with what we've just said? Are you thinking that's a good thing? Are they all happy in Mixer the Land, Cheddar?
Yeah, they're all happy there. Yeah, there's a lot of love for Eto'o as well.
OK, all right. Well, on that stunning news, Cheddar, I'm going to have to go and have a lie down and have a break and cogitate stats for the next 3 minutes. We'll be back in a second.